Go to a new tweet to show you new information from St. Louis Public Schools. They're now saying students are still being evacuated from the schools to safe and secure sites. They'll send information on where parents can reunite with students.
Okay, right now we're getting word that we do have Damon Arnold. Damon Arnold live on the scene. Damon, what do we know right now about that scene at Central Vpa High School?
I mean, honestly, Maurice, I just got out here, and I mean, it has been complete and utter chaos. I've seen students and family, searching for each other right now. I mean, in tears. I mean, literally still in fear. I mean, you can see people still are gathered here in the Schnucks parking lot. We're here on Hereford and Arsenal right now. But again, I mean, it's just a frightening feeling that's in the air right now. I can't even explain it to you. Like, my nerves are really bad because you just don't know what's happening, and you can tell these students are, I mean, in sheer terror. I mean, I even was standing next to a group. They had on like a ballet outfits, and they said that they saw a man with a long pointed gun, and could not. He pointed the gun at them, and it jammed. And so that's the stories that I'm hearing as I'm out here in the crowd, and everyone is here. And like I said, you can see they're trying to do a head count at this point to see who's missing and who's not. But you can't really do anything right now because.
All right, obviously we're having some technical problems.
This is going to be a story that we...
Go ahead, Damon. We have you back.
Oh, okay. I just want to... I'll send it back to you. I'm going to try to work to see if I can learn some more while I'm out here. I know that my signal isn't the best, but again, I think everybody right now, the common sense is just to make sure that everybody is okay that can be okay.
Gabby, we do want to mention that we have learned that the FBI confirms it is now assisting St. Louis Metropolitan Police in this investigation, which is obviously still in the very early stages as we're working to learn who the shooter is, why they targeted the students and staff inside the school. Our Damon Arnold has been on scene throughout the morning. He joins us live again as he's speaking with another student who is inside.
And then he started getting serious. I'm like, yeah, I think it's for real. So we heard 4 doors boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I'm scared. And then I tried to open the window. And then he was like, don't go out yet, don't go out yet. So he raised the window up. We all the way on the 4th floor. And we jumped all out the window. So it's a lot of, they screaming, crying. And then we looked down with all police officers, and they just running out the building. We like, how can we get down? How can we get down? So I'm thinking, like, I'm first gonna just go. And then they was like, don't go yet. So they walked us all the way to the edge, and the police officers had like a ladder or something. So they said, jump, and we're gonna catch y'all. So we jumped down, and they caught all of us. And we started running real fast. And then they was like, hey, somebody behind y'all. We were like, they out already. And one of them said it was a student who was doing the shooting. So we was like, they behind us. So we just ran real fast and came here. And then we was all just crying and shaking up about it. And I'm a freshman, so I never experienced this before at all. So yeah, this is my experience. I'm real scared.
And when I came around the corner, the active shooter, he was right there with the gun pointed at me. And thank God that his gun had got jammed.
And it's just absurd that this happens over and over and over again. And we got to change something in this country.
If you need help, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not hold it to yourself.
And I want to thank school district, again, and our first responders for running towards danger to save our children, to save our staff and students.
I do believe that their quick actions save lives.
I think the community can find some solace, and they've got a good group of first responders here.
Scenes of terror, panic, and violence playing out in our hometown. A South St. Louis City magnet school, now the center of national attention tonight after a gunman opened fire. The Central Visual and Performing Arts High School is located just steps from Tower Grove Park near the intersection of Arsenal and South Kings Highway. This campus also home to the Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience. More than 600 students attend both schools. Tonight, we know at least 2 people are dead, and we've learned the identity of one woman killed, Jean Kutchka. She was a health and PE teacher there at Central VPA High. A 16-year-old girl also died today. 7 others, all 15 and 16-year-olds, were hospitalized. The gunman was also killed after a shootout with police just after 9 o'clock this morning, and police have since identified him as 19-year-old Orlando Harris. They say he graduated from the school last year. Now the FBI asking anyone who was on scene, students, staff, parents, to send pictures from that shooting as they investigate. Now we want to get to our Corey Stark. He continues our live team coverage from outside the South City School.
Paige, this is a breaking story that is still developing tonight, 9 hours after the gunman opened fire on this South City High School campus. We have live team coverage for you tonight, a crew of reporters bringing you the latest developments and reactions that are still pouring in from the community tonight.
Hecker of our CBS St. Louis affiliate Kmov joins us now from the scene. Good evening, Caroline.
Good evening, Nora. It was a horrifying and chaotic scene here that played out at the school. The victims ranging in age from 61 years old to just 15. The shooting sending students scrambling to safety, jumping out of windows and finding any door they could find. It was just after 9 a.m.
They reported an active shooter in a high school
when an all-too-familiar scene erupted.
We're walking out the building. It's blood on the ground and stuff like that. We see students covered in blood. I see a lot of kids. There was kids crying everywhere.
Police raced to Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. Traumatized students ran for their lives. Relatives rushed to their loved ones.
It's a nightmare.
Students say the shooter entered the school with a long gun, then opened fire, killing one female teenager and injuring at least 7 others. One victim, teacher Jean Kushka, who passionately raised money for diabetes research, later died at the hospital. The gunman was reportedly killed by police.
I seen my friend have all blood on her hand, and it was like she seen the shooter, and the shooter came to her and said, "You ready to die?" And to see her just screaming and crying, and it was just hurt me.
As the community mourns, there are questions about safety at the school where authorities say 7 security personnel were on duty at the time.
It was that timely response by that security officer, the fact that the door did cause pause for the suspect, that bought us some time. But yes, the doors were locked.
Investigators located the suspect's car and are searching for more clues to the gunman's motive.
Everyone who survived here is going to take home trauma. Even the officers who responded here, the firefighters and the paramedics who worked on people here are going to experience some degree of trauma.
Now, agents with the ATF and FBI were seen searching a home connected to that gunman this afternoon. Again, the ATF and FBI seen searching that home for several hours here in South St. Louis. He is said to be a 19-year-old male, graduated, Nora, from this school just last year. Tonight, the community plans to hold a vigil. Nora?
Caroline Hecker, thank you so much.
Remain, of course, for the shooter is why. Why did this happen here at this high school today? And our chief investigator, Lauren Traeger, is trying to learn a little bit of some of the answers and get more information about this suspect. Lauren, we'll send it to you.
That's right, Corey, and certainly those are questions that federal investigators are working actively to answer as well. We are in South St. Louis right now in the Carondelet neighborhood, the 7,000 block of Pennsylvania, at a home here that is believed to be the home where the shooter lived. It was certainly a hub of activity today with a number of federal investigators from both the FBI and the ATF going in and out of that house. We watched them bringing out totes of what appeared to be evidence and at least one computer. There was also a woman on the scene here, really kind of a quiet day, not a lot of emotion, but a woman who seemed to be cooperating with investigators, speaking with them, sitting in a car outside of this home. Now, we called a number for the owner that's listed on public records as the owner of this home. That woman did hang up on me when I did reach her, and we also knocked on the door of this home after the investigators left, and no one answered the door. But again, police indicating that 19-year-old 15-year-old Orlando Harris did live at this address here. Still working to learn a lot more information about him. Doesn't appear to be a large social media presence. We do know that he has no criminal history, according to police, but that he had graduated last year from that school. And the big question, Corey, as you mentioned, is still motive. What motivated him to go into that school today and commit this horrific act? And really, a lot of questions still remain about that. The police would not answer whether or not he had a list or what exactly his motives were, and if he was going in to target someone specifically. That is something we are still looking to figure out and asking about. Certainly neighbors here, though, continuing to drive by. Neighbors I talked to say just very shocked that this happened in this neighborhood, that this person lived here. And Corey, I just want to leave you with one last thing here. There's a sign on this home here that talks about being founded in faith and kept by God. So we are still working to get some more information about that shooter, hear from his family, and of course, as soon as we get new information, we will bring it to you. Corey, back to you.
Damon Arnold with our St. Louis affiliate KMOV has the latest. Damon is outside of the school this morning. Damon?
Good morning to you, David. I'm outside of Central VPA High School where the doors are shut. There will be no students here. Classes have been canceled, and rightfully so. As somebody who was here yesterday first on the scene, witnessing students run out in pure chaos, telling me that they had guns shoved in their face, asking them if they were ready to die or they had to jump out of windows to try and escape. The trauma that they're suffering today only makes that decision the right call today. Now, we're remembering here in this community the loss of a teacher, that 61-year-old Jean Kuchka and 15-year-old Alexandria Bell. You see a growing memorial behind me, and it is this memorial that is fueling the investigation that now has the FBI trying to figure out the motive behind this gunman.
We hear these gunshots and the windows just rattling, and we see people jumping out the windows and stuff.
Students describe chaos as the shooter, who authorities say was armed with a long gun, opened fire at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School.
They reported an active shooter in a high school.
Police say that call came in around 9:11 Monday morning. 4 minutes later, police say law enforcement arrived on the scene. By 9:23, they say officers engaged the suspect in a shootout, and by 9:25, he was dead.
I seen my friend have all blood on her hand, and it was like she seen the shooter, and the shooter came to her and said, "You ready to die?"
Students were evacuated to a nearby grocery store parking lot where they reunited with their families. Police later identified the shooter as a 19-year-old who graduated from the high school just last year.
He lives in the 9,000 block of Pennsylvania with family members, and he has no prior criminal history.
People from across the St. Louis community gathered to mourn the victims Monday night, including Alexandria Bell and PE teacher Jean Kuchka, who died at the hospital.
It's kind of unreal to think that she's gone, like when I literally just saw her the other day. She was just the sweetest lady.
Officials didn't reveal how the gunman got into the building, but said school security and existing safety protocols helped delay his entry.
Our school had metal detectors. The doors stay locked. There's security guards all over the place, and somehow still this was able to happen.
And now this community just tries to figure out how to move forward and to be okay. Sending it back to you, Gail.
All right, Damon, you're right. It's sadly all too familiar.
At 6, preliminary results on the autopsies of victims and the shooter in the St. Louis high school shooting last month. More than 3 weeks after a gunman opened fire, we now know teacher Jean Kuchka and student Alex Bell died of single gunshot wounds.
Chief Investigative Reporter Lauren Traeger joins us with this update you'll only see on News 4 tonight.
It is important to stress here that these are just the preliminary findings. The final report is not yet complete. And while some of the details may be a bit difficult to hear, the autopsy can give us a piece of what happened that terrible day, though it's just a part of the overall investigation. What we know now is that 15-year-old Alexandria Bell was shot just one time, a bullet that hit her arm and her chest. Her injuries, according to medical examiner Dr. Michael Graham, were not instantaneously fatal but did cause her death. She was pronounced deceased on the scene.
Teacher Jean Kuchka was also only shot once in the abdomen. Her injuries were also not immediately fatal. She was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced. Dr. Graham was not available for an interview today, so we spoke with Dr. Jane Turner, a forensic expert not affiliated with the case.
Having autopsied thousands of individuals who've been shot, it is unusual to have a single shot in a scenario like that. I've autopsied individuals from drive-by shootings, and they've had multiple gunshot wounds.
Dr. Graham said, though, it does not indicate how many shots were fired at them, only that they were hit once. He told News 4 he is unable to determine the victim's body positions based on the gunshot wounds, but did say neither were shot at close range. Graham also autopsied 19-year-old Orlando Harris, the shooter. He could only say he was shot several times by law enforcement with at least one handgun and high-velocity rifle. The reason he couldn't say, there was frangible ammunition used, ammo that's meant to break up on impact. Harris was shot in the torso and left extremity, mostly on the left side, Dr. Graham says, though again he could not say what Harris's body position was at the time. He was also not shot at close range, and his injuries were not immediately fatal either. Otherwise, Dr. Graham said he was a healthy individual with no significant injuries.
Could you see mental illness in an autopsy?
No, other than a toxicology test that would show that maybe he was being treated.
And that toxicology report should be back soon, according to Dr. Graham. Toxicology tests were also taken on the victims as a normal part of the investigation. Now, we do know police have said that Harris had mental illness and his family had even tried to have him committed. So News 4, along with the Post-Dispatch, has filed a petition in St. Louis court asking a judge to release any records on his mental state that might exist with the courts. This is so we can see what, if any, steps were taken to try to stop this shooting before it happened. Under the law, those records are kept confidential unless it can be proven there is good cause to open them. There is a hearing set for November 30th where the media will be arguing the records should be made available, and we will certainly keep you posted. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.